like to play a little solitaire, you know. It isn't until that moment that you realise that she's in charge.
But it's wonderful. This film, like no other, has this wonderful cast. And people who really, I mean, this is a very personal thing to say, but people who really know how to deliver a line. I mean, actors who do, like John. Now, someone can help me here, because John MacGyver, and I said McGiver, it is MacGyver. And I said McGiver because someone told me it was McGiver. And John, and who was the actor again who played your husband?
Who?
The actor who played your husband?
Oh, my husband was James Gregory.
James Gregory, oh my.
Wonderful actor.
And of course Sinatra and...
Sinatra and Laurence Harvey.
And Laurence Harvey.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful cast in this film. Had you worked with any of them before this film? Did you know them?
No.
You were introduced to all of them on the set of the film?
Yes, absolutely. We walked in, you know, cold, and we started off, we rehearsed a lot. We rehearsed. You know, they don't take time or the money to rehearse these days, but in those days, certainly John demanded that we did, and we rehearsed. So we went into scenes really knowing them backwards. And I'll tell you another reason why, because Frank Sinatra wouldn't do 2 takes. He just refused. So if you didn't get it the first time, you're out of luck. And luckily, he gave one of the best performances he's ever given, I think, in the Manchurian Candidate. I hope you agree with me, because I really believe that.
Sinatra wouldn't do a lot of takes, huh?
No. One take.
You know, John told, I did a film with John, the last project he did for HBO, and John told me this wonderful story. He said that he shot Sinatra outside the garden, and Sinatra had to go to an appearance and sing at a benefit. And he said, we have to get this. We have to get this scene, because I've got to leave at 4 o'clock. You've given me your word, I'm leaving at 4 o'clock. And they shoot the scene, and someone comes to Frankenheimer and says that the film is scratched, which could happen back then. The film's scratched inside the camera. And John, if you recall, this is my memory of John, maybe I'm being too sketch comedy about this, but he had kind of a real silk stockings, New York accent like this. And John said to me, and he said, so I had to go and tell Frank the film was scratched and he couldn't go to his performance. And I said, what was that like? He said, it was the longest walk of my life. For Frank's trailer. Did he cast a big shadow on the set of the film?
Oh,
Frank?
very big. Very big. Yes, I was only in one scene with Frank, you know. It was, we were in a cloakroom picking up our coats, and we sort of like passed in the crowd, you know. And that was the only time we actually were on the set at the same time.
And what was Larry Harvey like?
Oh, Larry was a real, he was tremendous fun, you know. He took it all, it was like a joke, you know. A typical English actor, you know. Are they ready for me yet, you know? And, but he was awfully good, because he was playing a role which somehow wasn't the easiest thing. He was playing an American role, and he's an Englishman, you know. It was tricky for him, but he's damn good.
Robert Osborne himself presented you with your Lifetime Achievement Award, your Oscar. And
I requested that he should be the person to give it to me, because, you know, because he'd always stood by me, you know, and he was the only one at the time that I said, look, he's the only man who knows all the movies that I made over that period. And of course, you know, TCM, so there was no question in my mind that he was the right person, and I'm so glad he did.
You did Blithe Spirit over in London.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're thinking maybe you want to go back and do another show? You're never going to retire, are you?
Well, no, I don't think so.
Right.
But you never know, right? You know, I always say you've got to keep moving, and that's what I'm trying to do. If I can just learn all those lines like we used to, I'll be okay.
What do you love about performing in the film?
I simply love that, the feeling that you, the audience, are there and we're together in this. And this on stage is something that absolutely propels me forward and gives me the excitement and impetus to go out there and give my absolute best. You know, every time I come out, when the curtain goes up, you're mine and I'm yours. And, you know, we've got nothing in between.
And how would you say that this film, this is my last question, how would you say this film ranks in terms of all the films you've made? Would you say this is, you wouldn't say this is the best film you've ever made?
I wouldn't say it was the best, but it's certainly the most outstanding and astonishing film that I was ever connected with. And from an audience standpoint, I think it is a unique piece of work on the part of everybody who was in it, and John's conception of it, and his work with Axelrod on the script and so on was so, the minutiae that he took time to do, to create, it paid off so amazingly. I think...
When you first saw it screened, what was that like?
Well, Sweeney, yeah. Well,
when you first saw this movie screened, when you first saw this film and they showed it to you, Manchurian, what was that like for you?
Oh, that was a shocker. I mean, it was very, very, very exciting, I have to tell you that. I had no idea how it was all going to cut together. We really don't, because we do little bits and pieces, you know how it is. And I had no idea that it would land with the impact that it did. Although I think it was a little bit of a puzzle to them at the beginning. As you probably know, the film was put away in a closet for a number of years because of its closeness to Mr. Kennedy's assassination, and Frank felt that it shouldn't be seen because I don't know what his connection with that was, but nevertheless, we didn't see it for a long time. And it wasn't until it came out many, many years later that the entire crowd of students in universities saw it, and they were the ones who really pushed it right up there. They absolutely fell for it. Were you aware of that? It was
I knew
really
that there
the
was
young
some
people
issue
who saw it, yeah.
Assassination.
Oh, absolutely. It was out. It was off. So we only opened and closed because of the assassination. Yeah.
Well, I want to just mention that, you know, when you work in this business, this is a very personal thing. And when you act with people, men or women, one thing that always is so thrilling and so powerful is to witness someone whose soul can range from one end to the other. And I've worked with just a few, not many, but I've worked with a few, who they could do anything in terms of their spirit. They could play the darkest forces in the world, and they could play the most beautiful spirits in the world. And there aren't many of them, there really aren't. And this woman we have here with us is one of the most talented women who has ever worked in the movie business, or theater, or television. So once again, please help me thank Angela Lansbury.
Thank you very, very much. You've been absolutely wonderful. And I've loved being here. It's been a long